Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Streggy, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
Did you miss me? I guess not.
So just a heads up, ladies and gentlemen, I am transferring much of my reviews from Inside Movies Galore over to Delusions of Grandeur because we are separate entities now. Originally, I was doing reviews under the guise of Inside Movies Galore, but I have now transferred much of my work over to Delusions of Grandeur. So the review that you are about to listen to is actually put out by Delusions of Grandeur. It's just my review at the time was under Inside Movies Galore. So when you listen to it, it is from Delusions of Grandeur, but this was recorded on my Inside Movies Galore and under that guise. So have a listen and let me know what you think. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Inside Movies Galore. I'm your host, David Streggy, and here I have another review for you of a samurai film that predates Kagemusha. From Toho, the same company that came out with Godzilla as a production company, directed by the director Kihachi Okamoto in 1966, and it also stars Tatsuya Nakadai as the lead character, Ryunosuke Suku, who is a samurai in charge of a sword, not only of other people's doom, but his own demise as well. And in the very beginning of this film, we have a young woman who goes by the name of Omatsu, played by Yoko Naito, and her grandfather, who are going over a mountain pass. And while they are going over a mountain pass, they stop by a Buddhist prayer obelisk, and the grandfather tells the story of how
the how there was a point in time where and why the obelisk is standing there is because an emperor or a people had actually come through here and placed this here, because you can look out to the west, the south, the east, and the north, and see all these points and angles of where this river connects, and this a river does, and it's an important point on their way to Kyoto, I believe. And the grandfather, while the granddaughter goes off in search of some water, the grandfather kneels down to pray for his death, and death comes in the form of Ryunosuke, which he kind of looks like. He's all dressed in black. He's got that lantern looking hat, and it's very cruel the way that he dies. It's like some of it. I believe it's because he killed this old man. Is what happened. Is why what happens to him later is set in motion. So this is a very to me, this is a psychological art film. But the thing that I've noticed is there's a very much difference between the low budgeted martial arts films and the samurai films that have been made, because the samurai is a much respected character. It has much honor. There is a royalty almost in a samurai's way of life. The thing is, we have Ryunosuke's father, I believe, who is also dying, and he is against him having this sword that was passed down to him through his father. Might actually be his grandfather. I was unsure. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was his grandfather, but in any case, evidently Ryunosuke, Nakadai's character, he is set to a match, which is a legal battle of samurai skills between another person. Normally, these are chosen matches that are legalized by, a set of rules to go up against each other. And I love this battle because before the battle begins, a young woman who is evidently Bunojo Utsuki's wife, who is the opponent, comes to Ryunosuke before the match and tries to ask him to stop the fight, or because it could ruin her life and her family's life, because they have a child together, and so on and so forth. And he says he cannot. It is a match. To forsake it would be against my honor. And he said the only way that I could do anything in your plight is if you gave up your chastity. So ultimately the match happened, and because of her actions, Hayoma's actions. Bunojo divorced her, and she became an outcast. And so her only person that she could go to was Ryonosuke, or with Ryonosuke afterwards. And after that, that battle with this Binojo Utsuki, who had actually gone to school with him, he had to battle the other school members in that community. And this sequence was very interesting because he has a technique with the sword. It was very weird because the sword dipped down, where most samurai warriors would put their swords up in the air, but he turned his sword down, so it looked like he was giving up. But what all he had to do was one single upwards, upwards, up and slash downwards, and he'd be able to kill his opponent most instantly. This was his signature move throughout the entire film, and the thing is, he was so emotionless throughout the whole film. You know, ultimately, we learn that the brother of Bunojo, and actually the young woman's name was Hama, or Ohama, not Hayomo. Hayomo Utsuki is actually Bunojo's brother, and he ultimately went and studied under a different school because he had learned from certain sources that there was a specific a way to beat the move that Ryonosuke knew very well. So he went to train under Shimada, a school that knew the only move to counteract and kill Ryonosuke. But he also ended up meeting the granddaughter that we had met in the very beginning of the film, and ultimately falling in love with her as she became a server to several other people. So the thing that I thought that was unique about this film is that one half of the film is set in winter, and so the part where Ryonosuke befriends a group of assassins. They're in these barracks, holed up before they go out for battle, and it kind of reminds me of like the very beginning episode of the Game of Thrones, you know, where it's snowy, they're on an embattlement, and I think the most haunting moment to me is not the very end, but where they go up against this Shimada, who was hiding in, well, not hiding, he was inside of a small little bathroom hut looking thing, and he comes out and he basically kills all of the assassins that are with Ryunosuke. And Ryunosuke, he just stands there and he watches as all of his band gets slaughtered, and he just stays there because he knows that if he attacks, this isn't the right moment to attack. It's if this warrior, Shimada, attacks him. Because to me, it seems like if he is himself attacked, then he has the right to slay him. But ultimately, in the very end, it is Omatsu who ends up somehow being in the presence of Ryunosuke, and she gets very afraid in the room that they are in because she remembers a story of a maiden who had killed herself in this hut or residence that they are in, and her getting afraid several times, and you start to see shadows of different people outside the wall, and you start to hear noises of footsteps, noises of evidently people of his past, people that he might have killed, and he starts to go mad. So ultimately, I think this is a haunting film. I think this is this is very artsy, but I also thought that this was a little bit more violent than I thought that it was going to be, especially since you know, I really like how the samurai stances were and how they were dedicated to killing themselves, no matter how many of them there were. And I can't for the life of me remember how many times that how many people, how many warriors that Ryunosuke went through in that very ending sequence. It was just amazing to see how he slashed at each one, and I don't think that there were any, you know, revisited shots that I could see. I thought that being black and white, I thought that being black and white, it actually did resonate more than it would have been in color. And I always love a black and white film, so I certainly enjoyed seeing this film. This was definitely an early performance from Tatsuya Nakadai, and I loved his performance. I also thought that the suggestion of more violence towards some of the women involved was a little bit more extreme. Like Omatsu's uncle had a either lover or in the flower teacher, that was Omatsu's teacher, and so there was a lord that came after her because he got so obsessed with Omatsu, and so there was a little bit more violence there. So ultimately, hopefully you've enjoyed my description of this film. Just wanted to show you the cover of this Criterion Blu-ray. It is on Criterion, and I just got a whole sense of doom throughout the whole entire performance, and I could definitely see this again. I think for a samurai actually killing women, um, actually going through with having no emotion by killing those dearest to him. I thought that this was very good, very entertaining, very sad. But ultimately, I hope that you enjoyed my description of this film. Like and subscribe to my page if you have not. Um, it's just a beautiful film. By the production companies of Tarazuka, Elja Company, and Toho Company put together. So I'm sure that this could have been a worse off a cut, but I think that Janus Films actually did a very good job at remastering this film, and hopefully you enjoy some of my previous reviews. Definitely check out some of my future reviews, and thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Appreciate your time ahead of time. Thank you so much.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?